What's going on, guys? It's been a long time. Again, I really need to start recording more regularly. I have so many good ideas, but I don't always want to make a full video on it. But today is actually a Korea video, finally. Korea video number 2. I really should be making more of these. But, I had a traumatic experience today, and I mean that, with a smile on my face. I did have a traumatic experience today, and we're going to talk about that. So today I went to do two kind of business activities for me in the middle of the day. Next year I'm actually teaching in Taiwan, so I had to go get my Korea background check processed. Just so you know, Taiwan, for example, will accept a foreign country's background check, so not just the U.S. If you're a British person, for example, of course you can get a background check from Britain from the last 6 months or something last year. But if you're teaching in Korea, or you're teaching in China, or you're teaching in Japan, or Vietnam, or Mexico, you can actually get a background check from the country where you're teaching, and Taiwan will accept that actually as part of the process of getting you a visa. I didn't know that. I was actually planning on going back to a U.S. territory like Hawaii or maybe Guam or something to try and get a background check done, but yeah, they didn't even charge me anything for it, so, and I'm getting it within like 5 days, so it's pretty nice. Anyways, that was the first thing that wasn't traumatic at all. Korean police are pretty lax. I saw a guy walking, I'm assuming it's an employee, even if it's not an employee. It is amazing that I saw a man in like what looks like boxers and flip-flops walking around the police station. It wouldn't surprise me though. Korea has like no crime, really. If they have crime, it's probably like some really isolated or like localized organized crime. Um, is because of the CCTV system. People watching this probably don't know, but the number one way to reduce crime is actually not to harshen punishments, although that does work. The best way to do it is to increase enforcement and increase potential criminals' belief that they will be caught. And the CCTV system mostly deals with that in Korea. But anyways, everything went swimmingly at the police station. The guys, he didn't really want to speak English clearly, but he spoke enough English we could use a translator. After that was my dental appointment, and that's where I got traumatized. So I needed two things from the dentist. One is a cleaning, and two was I had an old cavity that had been filled, but the filling had broken down. So I needed them to drill out the old filling, what was remaining of it, and put in a new one. So they actually decided to replace the filling first, which surprised me. I thought, wouldn't you want to clean my mouth? But we'll get to that later. And of course I brushed my teeth. But it's always good to make sure it's extra clean before you start drilling in there, right? Well, they didn't use any painkiller, which I don't know what's going on. These people, I thought they spoke English because they're advertised as like the recommended. I'm not sure whether it was a private or public authority that said this is like a foreigner-friendly dentist, but that's why I went to that one. Turns out, I don't want to say they're unfriendly. They were nice people, but yeah, they didn't speak any English. I didn't know what was going on. I just knew the drill came out, and I'm like, nope, I didn't feel anybody stab me with a little needle or whatever. What's going on here? And pretty much any time that I felt some... And remember, this is not them making a filling for the first time. This is replacing an old filling. So naturally, there is a lot of whatever the cement is that they use in fillings. There is stuff of that to drill out where I will feel nothing because that's not a tooth. It's just some crap that's stuck onto your tooth, right? So, I kind of like understood, okay, these guys are drilling. I don't have any painkiller, but like, it's not my tooth, right? Well, they kept drilling for a while, and I'm like, but they probably do, there probably is more of a cavity underneath the filling because the filling's broken down. There's a hole. Food and bacteria can get in there. So I apologize also if I'm scratching my nose a lot. It's the middle of winter. My skin's super dry. It's really itchy. But yeah, unsurprisingly, as the guy keeps drilling, I start having some sensation. And just due to bad genetics, and also I love sugar. I've had many cavities filled before. So yeah, I know what it feels like when they're drilling, even if they have given you, it's called lidocaine nowadays, that's the painkiller they use. Novocaine's like outdated. I've been corrected on that by dentists. It's not Novocaine, it's lidocaine. I know what the feeling is when they're drilling. They've given you the painkiller, but it's still not, it's not enough. And that might be genetic. I've heard that people with red hair, right there, are more resistant to painkillers. I don't know if that's true, but anyways, it kind of feels, it's unpleasant. It feels kind of cold. It does become more painful the more intense the sensation is, obviously. Well, I kept feeling that while he was drilling, and I was like, ow, And so he like kind of, I guess, moved the drill around, start drilling somewhere else. I think that was his way of determining, oh, okay, we cleared out enough here, let's move over to another part. So yeah, there was some brief but significant moments of pain multiple times throughout the drilling. He finally finished and then started just filling it in. It was very quick. Definitely quicker than the last time I had a filling replaced, and that was in the US. I kind of think that Korean dentists must just not drill as much. They must not do as thorough of a job. And I'm planning when I move to Taiwan in like about 2.5 months, I'm planning to go see a dentist there, get an x-ray, because they didn't offer me an x-ray here, and get it checked out to make sure that there's not, because this, I'm pointing to where the tooth is, it's my molar, just to make sure that there's not more stuff to drill down there. That would really suck, but I want to make sure that I don't continue to have decay underneath the filling, because that would, that would ultimately be a problem. I might need to get like a crown or potentially a dental implant if it gets really bad. So, yeah, that's take care of your dental hygiene. And that's what I was trying to do here, but these Koreans are fucking crazy. Turns out I've done a little bit of reading from what I can find online. They tend to be conservative with painkillers in Korea regarding dental work and probably other work too. They're certainly trying to avoid an opioid crisis. I'm not really sure what that has to do with lidocaine being injected at the dentist, but from what I've read, they tend to be conservative with its use, and some dentists just don't use it, and I happen to go to one of those. So, not a recommended experience. I didn't like it. After that, I got scaling. They didn't do a good job at all. They used, and this part is actually nice. They used a sonic toothbrush to, get along the gum line, which is nice, instead of the usual like, what's that called, the hook of pain, whatever the dentists use in the U.S. And they have those at the office, but they just didn't use it. It was just a sonic toothbrush. Yeah, didn't do a good job. They didn't like do that thing that they used doing at American dentists, where they like actually use a special toothbrush with special toothpaste and brush you and do scaling and everything. It was not a thorough cleaning; it was a thorough scaling, I guess. And things are better than they were before I got the scaling done. But even walking straight out of there, I could feel that there was still some stuff around my gums and even stuff like on one of my canines. So I hope this video isn't boring anybody, but I thought this was useful information. I'm not going to name and shame the dentist. I don't even know if this is unusually bad. It's definitely not unusual, unfortunately, to not use enough painkillers, and it's not the only place that doesn't use painkillers at all. So, yeah, not a good experience overall. The only thing that I can say that's positive about them is that initially they told me that my national health insurance for some reason didn't cover at least one of the procedures. I think they said it covered the filling the cavity, refilling the cavity, but not the scaling. But then they came back, they're like, oh no, actually they're both covered. And ultimately, both those things together cost me basically $22. And that's pretty normal for Korea. And that I say that as a positive thing because I think this has happened before when I've gone to the doctor, and at first they're like, oh, you're not covered, then they come back and say, oh yeah, you are covered. I'm assuming that's just because they're not smart. Sometimes receptionists aren't the smartest people, or they're not well trained or something. But to me, that speaks well of the honesty of Korean people. Korean people don't usually apologize for getting stuff wrong, but they do correct themselves. I appreciate that. It does help that these are subsidized businesses, even if they're private business. They're subsidized by the Korean government. So there's a bit of a safety net. There's not quite as much of a need to try and get as much money as possible out of your customers. But generally speaking, they're honest people. So yeah, I mean, at best, I could give that place a 3 out of 5 stars. Appreciate the honesty. Don't appreciate the quality of care, which was not good at all. Really hoping that they just I really hope I don't need more drilling done. I don't like the drilling. It's not fun. And hope I've read that it looks like the dentists are a little bit better in Taiwan, maybe. So we'll see. But yeah, so that was Riley's trip to the dentist. Not recommended. I think you can probably have a better experience in Korea if you talk to other if you're coming to teach in Korea. Don't be scared off by this. I'm sure if you talk to other expats, you can find better dentists. I guarantee this is not the best dentist in Korea. I did not consult with other people I know. I just found a blog online that recommended like 5 different dentists that supposedly speak English where I live. And that blog was clearly wrong about their English skills too, so maybe that blog was just wrong. I'm sure you can find a better dentist in Korea. And it looks like there are dentists who use, lidocaine in Korea. I just did not happen to go to one of those, unfortunately. So, I mean, that's life. This is a recently developed country. If you subscribe to the whole "there are developing and developed countries" dichotomy, which is silly. Old people in Korea, you come here, you will notice these are not the people of a developed country. They're like peasants, and they lived through peasant times, and so I'm not really surprised that there's still some dentists in Korea that don't use painkillers, because yeah, probably 2 generations ago, these people are like, make sure you get really drunk before you come here, because this is gonna hurt. I'm sure that is how things used to work in Korea. Think about how surgeries used to be done in the U.S. during the Civil War period. Realize that Korea was a much more backwards place 2 generations ago. That's how you end up with a situation like this. And I'm still surprised that this dentist probably wasn't even in his 40s, and the ladies in the office were probably in their 30s too. So I am still surprised to see that young people are offering this kind of care, but, saves money, right? Koreans are cheap, just like a lot of Asians, and I'm saying that Asians who live in Asia. I'm not saying all Asians everywhere. Just that's a big part of China-related cultures like Korea. Um, so we can come up with explanations for why this happened the way it did. Wasn't great, not recommended. But with the right research, because I didn't talk to my coworker. I was just like, I'll do my own research and do my own thing, and that is a very Riley thing to do. Don't be like me. Do your research heavily. Make sure you get a recommendation for a good dentist, so you get some painkillers. I would recommend that. Anyways, that's enough. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Hope you guys learned something, and have a good one.